Welcome to the Awakened Human Podcast, the place to be for highly progressive, yet extremely grounded intuitive guidance, energetic support, metaphysical tools, and higher consciousness for highly successful, ambitious, soul-centered visionaries and leaders like you who want to make a global impact and achieve your highest fulfillment by aligning with your soul's true divine agenda and your role in God's plan of lighted creation, and by utilizing your divine gifts, talents, and abilities from the higher realms. We do this by working with the non-physical realms of higher guidance, energy, intuition, and powerful metaphysical tools for healing and transformation. We understand that the real change and transformation that's being called for on planet Earth and in our own lives and our own businesses doesn't come from outside of us, but rather from within. And that the change that we desire to experience in our lives and in our world requires us to change from the inside. I'm your host, Lori Ann Spagna. I'm a best-selling author, spiritual catalyst, intuitive, energy worker, ascension guide, multidimensional channel, animal communicator, visionary, lightworker, and luminary. I have dedicated my entire professional life to helping thousands and thousands of humans and animals all over the world in service and contribution to the light, which is the expansion, the upliftment, the evolution of humanity, to awaken, to uplift, and to align with our true divine source, which exists within each and every one of us. It is my passion, joy, and purpose to share this information, energy, and consciousness with you. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing time with me. Let's get started. Well, blessings and greetings, beloveds, brothers and sisters. Thanks for being with me today and fellow luminaries, lightworkers, visionaries, and especially all of those of you who are highly ambitious, heart-centered visionaries, leaders, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. I'm happy to be with you here today, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Awakened Elevated Human. So I've got a great show for you today. I want to share with you about your DNA, and I want to help you understand about how your DNA and working with your DNA will help you in your business, in your entrepreneurial world, in your life, really. So the first thing before I even start is if you haven't already gotten, there's a free gift about the DNA, activating the DNA on my website. Make sure you go and grab it. It's at lorispagna.com/free gifts/DNA. I will ask my amazing podcast person to put that in the link below, because you want to know about activating your DNA. Now, let me say a couple things. Today, though, I really don't want to talk too much just about the DNA, because you can get all of that on the free gift, right? The basics about the DNA. I really want to focus more on how it will help you in your business, in your career, as a light leader, and as someone who truly is here to be of service and contribution, because we're heart-centered, right? I mean, my community is heart-centered. We care about the world. We want to make a difference, whether we're doing it through our businesses in a professional way, or whether we're doing it through our communities in a more informal way. Either way, we're here in service, right? So I want to talk about the DNA from that perspective, but make sure you grab that free gift and get the activation. There's an activation that comes with that. And even though it's a generic activation, because the DNA there's so much to activate in there. But let me just say, because you want to make sure you get that, so you get the foundations of what I won't go into today. But let me say this, your DNA, right? Obviously, we know from the old paradigm, the first two strands of DNA are what we, up until recently, we thought that's basically what there was, right? And they contain our genetics, and they contain all of our ancestral stuff, right? Diabetes runs in your family. That's like I would call that an ancestral trauma that can be cleared, healed, and resolved. But regardless, right? It's your genetics and the history of your ancestors, basically. And that is coded in the first two strands. And I actually call a lot of that, not all of it, but a lot of it's corrupted. So for example, if breast cancer is in your family or diabetes, that really is corrupted in the sense that it's not the truth of who you are. And there can be healing on that. You can do trauma healing through your ancestral lineage, through your DNA, through the bloodlines. I do this with people and have been doing this for 20 years now, and animals too. And you heal and resolve that, and you claim whatever gifts of consciousness that the ancestors didn't know that wasn't stored in the blood, or that the DNA is holding there for you, but it's blocked by those traumas, right? And it needs to be revealed. And then once you get those gifts of consciousness and energy, your consciousness up levels and expands, and you grow and evolve because of that. It's like the gifts that the ancestors, in a sense, didn't have claim to. They just weren't conscious of it. So they left that marker there for you in the DNA for you to recover that, right? But that's not how our reality has seen it. Our reality believed and perceived, oh, it's a bad thing if you have something like diabetes in your family or breast cancer or something like that. And, there's all kinds of solutions in the old paradigm that typically have to do with either pills or surgery, cutting something out or off, right? Now, new paradigm, we claim those gifts and we clear that and resolve that. And that is energy, spiritual healing. Energy healing does that. Trauma healing, specific. You need very specific. Reiki won't do that. General, generic energy healing won't do that. But targeted, focused trauma healing from someone like me who specifies in, that's my core genius, one of my core geniuses, we can do that. Now, and of course, it's never in contrast. That's why we call this complementary healing, right? We're not trying to contradict anything that's known or been done. We're just simply adding, expanding additional aspects of how healing can take place and what can be added to a holistic type of approach, right? Because obviously doctors and Western medicine is very important when and how it's appropriate in the ways that it's applied. But let me just go further on the DNA, where I'm going. Your DNA, in addition to, beyond those first two strands, science already knows and recognizes that there are at least 10 more strands of what were formerly identified as dormant. And those strands are starting to be collected on a mass scale, like Q-tips can do that. And there's lots of ways that can be done, right? Through the saliva or through the skin and other ways, right? So it's being studied by science, but what spirituality knows, or at least what I know from doing spiritual healing, is that those other 10 strands, not only are they not dormant, they're waiting to be activated. They're waiting to be coded with your consciousness so that you can choose to encode your own self with gifts, virtues, talents, abilities, and aspects of your own unconsciousness of what's uniquely here for you to bring forward. So, for example, one of the things that you can awaken in your own DNA is your brilliance, your gifts that you're here to bring forward, some of your strengths, talents, and abilities that you don't even know. Maybe the ability to be a fabulous speaker. Maybe your book. This might sound outlandish to some people or crazy, but that book that you've been planning to write, it's coded in your DNA. Because everything that you need from a spiritual perspective is written inside of you so that you could access it when you're ready in right divine timing. And it's available to you when you're ready. So learning how to activate and awaken that DNA to reveal to yourself and to help you become more of the magnificence and the brilliance of who you are, that's in your DNA. Now, learning how to activate it and awaken it is pretty simple. Discovering the unique codes takes a little more time and effort, But I can promise you this, that from a spiritual gnosis, knowing that whatever your dreams are, your greatest dreams, whether it's to be an author or to be a fabulous healer or to be the best mentor and coach or to help animals on a global scale or to clean up the waters of the earth or to help people learn about how to create rain so there's no drought or to help people to resolve issues related to their own sense of safety and survival, whatever it is that you're here to bring forward in the world, help other authors, or help women become better leaders, whatever it is you're here to offer, everything that you need to be the best version of yourself in offering that and sharing it is coded and scripted in your DNA. So that when it's activated and awakened, it becomes part of your knowing. You know it, right? So let me give a good example of this. I often say this. I never, ever took an animal communication class, animal communication and telepathy. I was doing it. It just came online. Yes, the animals taught me, but I know that I learned it in other lifetimes. And so it was coded in my DNA. And when I started getting activations from my own, okay, this is a little out there for some people, but my own, we could call it my higher self, future versions of myself, star family races, my own team in the non-physical, that stuff just started happening. I didn't really have to learn it, right? I didn't actually take an animal communication class until years later when I started realizing like, oh, I want to teach it to others. Maybe I'll take a class just to see how someone teaches it. Right. And even that, I just really didn't really need to do that because I'm a natural teacher from other lifetimes as well. I'm a Sagittarius rising, if you understand astrology. So the point that I'm making is your greatest gifts, they just start coming online when you start working with the DNA. Another thing I'll say is years ago, I was working in corporate America and I had to do a presentation. I was always a good presenter, I guess, but I remember this one time I knew things weren't going well. I was having a harder time and I went into like a full-blown panic attack on stage. I just couldn't do the presentation. It only ever happened once. But after that, I just knew it was because I wasn't where I was meant to be. And I was being redirected, like things just weren't going right when I was in corporate America. And that little panic attack was just there because it's like, that's not where you're supposed to present or how you're supposed to present. It wasn't that I was bad at it. It was that in that moment, it was showing me, right? I don't know that I necessarily knew that in that moment. But the point is as I got more rightly aligned, the natural speaker, teacher, presenter in me just came out. It was like I didn't have any issues with it. This is what I mean. If you're meant to be a professional speaker or an author, it's in your DNA. If you're a healer, your healing gifts will come out more. Your coaching gifts, if you're meant to be a coach, if you're an artist of some kind, any form of fine art, or, like if you're a musician, that kind of artist, your art, your brilliance will start to be amplified, and all the specifics of the fine tuning of the expression of you gets awakened as you work with the dormant DNA. So if there's an area in your life where you're struggling in your business, like let's say you really want to be an animal communicator and you really want to help animals, and maybe you work in some kind of animal rescue organization, or maybe you are working in some capacity, trying to help animals or trying to help people who help animals, and you want more of that. I can assure you that a lot of that knowing, and it doesn't mean you won't take a class to learn. It just means that that class will enhance what's naturally in there. Same thing with psychic gifts. Like a lot of people take the reverse is true too, right? I've met a ton of people who take classes in psychic abilities and they learn it, but they're not fine tuned to really the precision and the brilliance of what they have to offer, because they haven't necessarily done the energetic clearing and healing to bring them into alignment and the activating of the dormant DNA that's holding that in place for them when they're really ready to access it. So, your brilliance, the point I'm trying to make here, and I hope it's helping you, I hope it's making sense, that your brilliance, your magnificence, the gifts that you have to offer are coded in your DNA. And they're all the things associated with you showing up in your business, in your life, in the world as your most brilliant best self, equipped with everything that you need to be of service, to make the contribution you're here to make, and to offer your brilliance. Let's say you're a life coach and you're trying to help your people, whether it's romance and partnership, love coach, whoever your clients and students are, that you're there to help. And some part of you feels like perhaps, how do you help this one person who's so stuck because they're not necessarily able to find the love within themselves? Whatever core genius you need to serve in the most best ways, that's also anchored in your DNA, dormant. I mean, beyond the first two strands. When I say in your DNA, it's beyond the first two strands that are associated with the old paradigm of our genetics and our ancestry, the things we inherit, etc. And anything that may or may not be corrupted in terms of like illness, sickness, dis-ease, right? So it's the dormant DNA that science already knows exists and is just starting to really study more and more. And the potential that's in there that can only really be activated by you. And when I say by you, I don't mean you just turn it on. You don't just 1, 2, 3. You don't just look at a clock and see the letters 111 and, oh, it's activated. No, it's activated through energetic frequency, a vibratory state. So you have to pass through what's called frequency fences. Energetic, you have to be able to elevate to a frequency where that frequency activates and awakened what's been dormant within the DNA, right? I hope that makes sense. This is what we do on our DNA activation calls. I typically do them twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, depending. This year, the next one will be 888. That's the 888 portal, the Lion's Gate, also known as the Lion's Gate. I'll share more about that in the future too, on future episodes. But just know for now that that's the next one. You can always join us. We do one on an 888. I also typically do one on 1111 because that's about mastery and leveling up and activating and awakening our mastery, which is part of what we're here for. And whenever else there's a triple. So for example, next year would be 999, September 9th, 2025. 2025 will be a 9 year if you add that up, right? So, oh, there's a squirrel behind me. I don't know if you can see him anyway, he's being very social. You might not be able to see him from where you are, but I can see him in the window. He wants some nuts because sometimes I do. I sometimes feed them. So that's so funny. Okay, I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you can understand and see how by working with your dormant potential, more and more of your greatness will come online, and that it needs to be activated from a frequency bandwidth where you're not currently residing, or else it would just naturally come online on its own. But this is not about old school paradigm of having to work so hard to learn through arduous ways of how to become a better speaker, or how to write your book, or how to be the most magnificent violinist, or how to do light language, or whatever it is you're here to bring forward. It's about awakening it from within you by claiming what's coded in there for you that only you can discover and reveal to yourself, although someone else who is at a different frequency of light or consciousness or vibration, it might be the person who has to help you activate it, at least until you can get yourself in alignment with such a frequency where you can do that for self and others, right? I hope that's helpful. I hope you will join us at our next DNA activations webinar as well, which, as I mentioned, the next one, at least in accordance with when this is being launched, will be on August 8th, 8/8. And this year it's 8/8/8, the Lionsgate portal. Okay. Until next time, I'm sending you so much love. I hope this has been helpful and that you're understanding your greatness, your magnificence, your brilliance, and everything you need is within you, waiting to be discovered and revealed by you, to you, through you. I hope this is helpful. I'm sending you so much love. Until next time, farewell for now. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening today. If you loved the show and if you benefited in any way, if it helped you to up-level or expand your consciousness, if you gained any new insights or ideas, if it made you think or become more aware, or if there were some strategies or intuition that you may have benefited from in any way, would you please do me 2 easy and simple favors? First, if you would be willing to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I'd be so grateful. And second, if you're willing to share this show with anyone else who would benefit, you can either post it on your social media or just email it to someone and share it with another person or any other people. It would be so awesome. This kind of thing is so helpful in expanding consciousness on the planet and helping others to benefit from this kind of teaching, which just simply isn't generally readily available in the mainstream. So sharing it really helps others benefit and helps our planet evolve and awaken. Plus, expressing gratitude and generosity in this way will also expand your capacity to give and receive even more. Either way, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for participating and for sharing, and overall, just for being the magnificent, the spectacular, the brilliant, the fabulous, the wonderful you that you truly are, and for allowing yourself to be the very best version of you today and every day. All my love and gratitude to you.